So today I want to talk about a very tragic case that has taken place, and this is the case of the missing girl, Linda Stoltzfoos, the Amish girl in Pennsylvania. I mean, it's just an awful story, and I have several of you who've asked me about it, so we're just going to go over what we know right now. So she went missing on June 21st. Now, she was leaving a church service and on her way home when this took place. The investigators say she was last seen around 12:30 p.m. Now, the police were first notified about when she went missing at 2 a.m. on June 22nd. Basically, what happened, and this is just so awful, is a perfect storm of this party thought she was going to be here and this party thought she was going to be there, so it didn't strike anyone as odd because they each thought she was in the other place until it was, super late at night, or in the morning, I should say. And that's when it was like, wait a second, something's not right. Well, as we all know, those first few hours of a missing person situation are so vital. And I'm not trying to blame anyone in this. It's just a really unfortunate circumstance. So her parents had thought that she had gone to a youth group, and her friends thought that she had stayed home because she was sick. So again, like I said, it was this perfect storm of everyone thought she was supposed to be somewhere and she wasn't. Now, the walk from where she was originally coming from and going back to her home was like a mile. I mean, it took maybe 20 minutes. So it's always so scary to me to see how extreme tragedy like this can strike this close to home in an instant. Now, the police were saying, look, we haven't seen any signs that she was, wanting to leave home or anything of this nature. She didn't give any inclination in her behavior or anything like that, that this could have been a runaway situation in the beginning. Now, July 10th, a man was arrested in relation to her disappearance. His name was Justo Smoker. So Justo is 34 years old, and he's been hit with a couple of charges so far. He's been hit with one felony count of kidnapping with the intent to inflict injury or terror, and he's also been hit with false imprisonment, which is a misdemeanor. Now, it's safe to say he's ineligible for bail. Thank God. Now, again, as we always say in these cases we cover, thank God for technology, thank God for surveillance cams, because it literally just brings these people down. So essentially, there were some residents that were like, look, you can look at our surveillance stuff that we have in the house. And sure enough, this has led them to Justo. They saw his red car on there. They see him approaching her. They see her going off screen. So again, this is where with these criminals, we're just like, how are they this dumb to do stuff like this? But at the same time, thank God they are, because it leads the little trail of breadcrumbs right to them. Now, once they were able to start getting cell phone data and that kind of thing, they showed that like 2 hours after she was abducted, they saw that Justo's cell phone was in the vicinity of Harvest Drive and Ronks. Now, this was between like 2:30 and 3:30 p.m. So like 19 days later after that, because remember, all this stuff is kind of, happening not all at once. They searched the area, and sadly, this is when they make a discovery. They found a couple of items of Linda's clothing, a bra and stockings, buried a few inches beneath the ground. So this is not good. Now, as of this recording, they have not found her yet. Now, with his arrest and, the discovery of like, okay, look, we can kind of put two and two together here, they have revived this search. They're like, okay, look, we've got more intel. Let's go to this area. Let's find this, girl. So I looked a little bit into who Justo Smoker was, and honestly, reading his story, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is somebody who started off on a really bad trajectory in life and, just probably wasn't ever going to be set up to prosper. And unfortunately, it has resulted in a situation like this. So let's just talk about a little bit about his background. Now, he was adopted at age 7 after allegedly living on the streets. Now, during high school, he did really well. He was basically like a wrestling star, and he had 3.0 grade average, and he was even on an all-star team, an all-star wrestling team. Now, things went down south after that. He basically spent the majority of his adult life in prison. And this was related to like a bunch of robberies that he did around the age of 21. He would eventually plead guilty to robbing like 4 businesses across a 6-day period. His accomplice in the robberies was his little brother, Victor, and they used a BB gun to do this, and I mean, it was just kind of sloppy and messy. And he was sentenced to like 12 and a half to 30 years in prison. Now, all those cases were in 2006, but he also pleaded guilty to some other robberies that stemmed from 2005. So I mean, yeah, he was very busy busy during this time frame, but not doing productive things. Now, his adopted father basically was like, look, he's been trouble ever since we had him, but he was like, you know what, I did notice a positive change in his behavior once he was in county jail. So whether it was, he needed to learn some tough love, by the county, by the state, I don't know, but I just found it interesting that it was like, okay, look, this has just been a troubled person their whole life. They were on this trajectory. Now, the adopted parents had said, look, once he gets out of prison, and this is in relation to the robbery charges, they're like, we're going to stand by him. We're going to, help him get going. So I think a lot of times when you see something like that, having a support system is crucial, but clearly sometimes it's not enough. Now, his family did release a statement about the most recent incidences taking place with him. They said that, yeah, we're aware of the charges against Justo, and our deepest sympathies go out to Linda's family, the victim's family. And they said, along with the rest of the community, that they were praying for a safe return of Linda and, really hoping that there is a good outcome for this. They, of course, asked for privacy, and they said they had no further comment after that. So it'll be interesting to see what takes place in their stance after this. This case really stuck out to me because, number one, she just seemed like such an innocent person, and reading the things that her friends had to say about her, she just sounded like a wonderful young lady who, as we always see with these things, probably had a lot to offer the world. And she was on her way home from a church service. I mean, it was less than a mile away. And here comes this person who's had this troubled life, who was already incarcerated for some pretty bad things, in my opinion, who got out, and instead of utilizing that second chance to make right, to change their life, that type thing, which is one of the reasons why the judge didn't sentence him even stronger originally, was he was going to give him a chance to rehabilitate himself and live a productive life. Unfortunately, he used that second chance to squander away someone else's chance at a productive life. So I'm going to put some links down in the description. If you happen to live in that area or have any kind of information, they are still looking for Linda. And my heart goes out to the family and all of her friends in that community. Thanks for watching this, and I'll talk to y'all soon.